He's the tallest man on the radio, so sit right back and enjoy the show. Flying through the air like a ballistic missile. Here's your host, Ben Kissel.
One real American at a time, brother.
All right. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Ben Kissel channel, the political show. I am Ben Kissel, hanging out with Kyle Ploof. Be sure to check out Kyle Ploof on the Death in Entertainment podcast. Also, for the foreseeable future, as long as he possibly can, he'll also be on the podcast YouTube show. Woo-hoo. Kyle, thank you for being here with me today. We've got a bunch of stuff to get to. We're going to talk about the Secret Service in regard to the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Of course, the next episode will break down some of the conspiracy theories regarding crooks and what did people know. It does seem, for about an hour or so, Secret Service was like, seems like that guy's about to shoot Donald Trump, and didn't seem to do too much. But we'll talk about the Secret Service today, also a little bit on the RNC, and we'll just update you on what we were just hearing from the one and only Hulk Hogan. But let's not forget, folks, Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Is he a man of the people?
You know it, brother.
Did he put his yellow and red tights back on? Or is he still coming out to Jimi Hendrix?
Yeah.
Before we get to all that, I want to talk about a story that has me slightly upset. Jack Black and Tenacious D, they have decided to cancel their tour. It was in backlash to a joke that Kyle Gass made. People are self-canceling themselves, and that just shows you how powerful the corporatocracy that we live in is. And this kind of pisses me off, to be honest with you. For those that don't know, they were on tour. They were in Australia. It was Kyle Gass's birthday. Kyle Gass, of course, is the second member of Tenacious D, a fantastic comedy band. Truly just a great band overall.
Yeah, incredible.
That happened to be extremely hilarious, and Jack Black is just immensely talented, and so is Kyle Gass in his own way. Anyway, long story short, Kyle Gass was given a birthday cake for said birthday. He's like, make a wish, and Kyle Gass jokingly said, I wish that the person who shot at Donald Trump didn't miss. Yeah. For all intents and purposes. Because of this, Jack Black has addressed the issue and said, we're canceling the entire tour in Australia, and to me, you're allowed to make jokes.
In Australia.
He's in Australia. You're allowed to make jokes.
It's not even the country.
Can you imagine if social media was around when JFK got shot? Can you imagine the big head jokes?
Yeah.
When JFK was around, it was controversial that he was Catholic.
Right.
So they would have been like, oh, I guess the Pope needed another one to molest. So you're allowed to make jokes. And I just find it to be so horrible that they self-censored, specifically Jack Black, because he doesn't want to offend his Hollywood career in any way. He's fine. You're fine. Everything will be fine. But I just thought that story was so disheartening that people, you don't even have to cancel them anymore. They'll take it upon themselves to cancel themselves on the spicy meatball tour. You know you're going for good old hot, honest political takes. Yeah. When you go to see Tenacious D on the spicy meatball tour. This is what Black said in a statement. He says, I was blindsided by what was said at the show on Sunday. I would never condone hate speech or encourage political violence in any form. Dun, dun, dun. Come on, this is your friend Kyle Gass. Yeah. It's amazing how quickly people throw their friends under the bus now. It's unreal. I can't believe the sidekick of our devil-loving band would make such a crude joke. Good Lord, I've been defending people my entire life. I defended Stephen Colbert when he called Donald Trump Putin's cocksocket. Yeah. I defended that psychotic woman, Kathy Griffin, when she beheaded the president. Oh, yeah. But these people, it's just, if I was Kyle Gass, I'd be like, yo, brother, I'm sorry. This is a huge red flag for me. Yeah. I don't care. I'm good on money. I don't need this shit. Go fuck yourself.
That's probably what it really is, though. They're probably just like, we're getting a little bit older. We can take some time off.
It was like the first show of their stupid tour, the Spicy Meatball Tour.
Wow.
And Kyle Gass got a little spicy. He got a little too spicy. And I love Jack Black. It's just so aggravating to see what the corporatocracy, the HR world that we live in, has done to our greatest artists. Yep. So Kyle Gass, much like he was giving a wonderful depiction of Kim Jong-un after he was just tortured in North Korea, issued an apology on Instagram. This is what he said. He said, after much reflection, I no longer feel it is appropriate to continue the Tenacious D tour. And, take this back. He says, He says, I'm sorry, ready?
Yep.
The line I improvised on stage Sunday night in Sydney was highly inappropriate, dangerous, and a terrible mistake. Oh my God, he made a joke about an assassination literally on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
And of course, without social media, this wouldn't have gone anywhere because the audience laughed.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. The audience was like, that's a good wish.
Right.
He goes on to say, I don't condone violence of any kind, in any form. I've heard the greatest song in the world. Most of your songs are about violence. I mean, granted, against demons. So against anyone, what happened was a tragedy, and I'm incredibly sorry for my severe lack of judgment.
Severe.
I profoundly apologize to those I've let down and truly regret any pain I've caused. You didn't cause any, Kyle. It's fine. The Secret Service that perhaps allowed the assassination attempt to occur, they seem to be getting less flack than Kyle Gass. I also want to talk about this Florida bar, a Florida tavern. They got into a lot of heat because they also had a failed attempt, I suppose, at comedy. And because of that, they were criticized, crucified, and demonized. The manager of a Florida bar in Lake Worth Beach, indeed it is, he got into a lot of trouble. He had to take down a sign that appeared to poke fun at the attempted assassination attempt of President Donald Trump. This is what Lode Stout, his name is Lode Stout, and there's no joke, Lode, Stout. I love him.
Stout.
He's the general managers of Harry's Banana Farm. Okay?
Get a stout load from Harry's Banana Farm.
Indeed. The name of the joint is Harry's Banana Farm, which, ladies, oh my God, if you're looking for an orgasm, go down to Harry's Banana Farm. I'm sure you'll find your way to one. So the sign said, how do you miss a head that's that inflated? Okay. So he's making fun of Donald Trump's ego?
Yeah.
All have horrible egos. Look at Joe Biden right now. And then he got into a bunch of trouble. So this is what DeStout told WPTV, who really needed to cover the case. They say, that sign was meant to be humorous, and I thought it was just another humorous sign, but apparently it struck a nerve. He says, I go with whatever hot topic there is, and as soon as that happened to Trump, I knew that's all everyone was going to be talking about for the next 2 weeks. So he's just trying to get dipshits into Harry's Banana Farm, and he's trying to be funny, and then all of a sudden people are like, I can't believe you would do not at Harry's Banana Farm. Harry Banana, I expected so much more from you.
And this is in Florida.
This is in Florida, for crying out loud.
That's
Florida,
crazy.
what the hell's wrong with you? You can't take a joke? So both the left and the right are complicit in this absolute audacious attempt to derail our First Amendment rights, which we have and we will use. And I'm sorry, in America, when a president gets shot at, there's going to be some jokes.
Yeah.
Please, God Almighty. All right. Well, let's move on a little bit to what's been going on with the RNC. Obviously, we have not heard Donald Trump speak yet as of this recording. We will discuss that tomorrow. There has been some notable people, though, coming through.
Hulk Hogan came out of nowhere. I didn't even know if he was on the list.
Dana White was there.
Yep.
Hulk Hogan was there, speaking like the Hulkster always does. Not sure if he uses all the words he likes to use. But anyway, I digress. Everyone's had their issues in life.
Sure.
There was another gal who was at the RNC, ex-Playboy bunny, America's wealthiest self-made woman, Diane Hendricks. And she addressed the RNC, and she says she has had a pulse on everything. So the Playboy bunny, self-made woman, again for the she has been Forbes' wealthiest self-made woman in America for 7 consecutive years.
Oh.
She spoke at the convention. So that's Amber Rose, and now again this gal who, usually the sex workers are, as we've mentioned, in the hotel room. And the way it's looking this year for the RNC, they're right there on the main stage. So she talked about, what did she discuss here with Donald Trump? She owns the Hendricks Holding Company. She was a teen mom at 17. She has a background of hardship, grit, and hard work. And they say that's to rival J.D. Vance, who, again, doesn't. But anyway, she's a patriot, and she's proud of her roots and the businesses she built. She's 77 years old. Perhaps the reason she spoke, it was very close to her hometown of Eau Claire, Wisconsin, which you can go to the Dells in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Also, the Wisconsin Dells, you can go there, different places. But interesting indeed. Eau Claire, a great college town. That's where I got my DUI when I was 19 in the parking lot. I actually blew under the 0.8 at the time. No, yeah, it was 0.8.
Yep.
I believe it still is now. It was 0.1 in Wisconsin. Wisconsin was the last state to change it, but the U.S. was like, we're going to cut your federal funding for the highways. And they're like, God damn it, fine, we'll be slightly less drunk. But it was the most sober I ever drove drunk.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that weird? I was actually a DD, but the only reason I got charged was because I was underage. Anyway, do not drive drunk, folks. Be safe out there. Ubers are worth it. Certainly more than a D-dub, which are no joke at all. So anyway, Hendricks, she's worth $20.9 billion. She's a major donor to the Republican Party, and she's one of the people who financially backed former Republican Governor Scott Walker, who is a colossal piece of human trash. Just look at the Foxconn deal. Damn near bankrupted the great state of Wisconsin. Oof. So that's one of the speakers that you could hear right there at the RNC. And just a couple of other quick stories here when it comes to polling data. During national conventions, whether it be the DNC or the RNC, both Republicans and Democrats tend to see a little bump in the polls. The enthusiasm's up. They're like, look, those are the people that I love the most. I love the snack table. I'm going Republican. I'm going Democrat, whatever it might be. Some of the polling data that has just come out now is showing, because of this RNC bump and obviously because of what happened this past Saturday, Donald Trump is holding a 5% lead over Joe Biden. So that's a larger lead than we have seen. Again, that is the popular vote, which is an indication of overall popularity, obviously, but is not an indication of who will win when it comes to the Electoral College. And just lastly, when it comes to the Supreme Court and their immunity decision, prosecutors are now dropping the case against Donald Trump regarding January 6th.
Whoa.
So that is now gone. They're dropping the obstruction charges after the Supreme Court ruling.
Wow.
Federal prosecutors have moved to drop charges for some January 6 rioters accused of attempting to obstruct the certification of the 2020 election. And in an ironic twist, Hunter Biden has now motioned to dismiss all the charges against him with the same argument Trump used in his classified case in Florida in Mar-a-Lago, which has also been dropped. So isn't that interesting? That's why be careful what you wish for, because I guarantee you anyone who is like upset with the presidential immunity case, because of course Donald Trump very well could be the next president, every single person secretly was happy, everyone in power, because they're like, yeah, when we're there, ooh, I can't wait. I got so many bombs that I've written my name on. So Hunter Biden's lawyers are now seeking to leverage a bombshell decision, tossing out the classified documents case against Trump. Mr. Biden, this is according to lawyers Ab Loyal and Bartholomew Dalton.
Wow.
You don't hear a lot of Bartholomew's.
Distinguished gentleman.
My older brother's name is Bartholomew,
I have a cousin named Bartholomew.
but he goes by Eric. Do you want to know why? They called him Bart the Fart. He couldn't handle the heat. He really, Bart the Fart. And he was like, I got to go with Eric.
That's literally what we call my cousin, too.
Yeah, of course. It rhymes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. God forbid he does fart once.
Yeah.
And then that's it. So Bartholomew. It's a hell of a name. That's the first time I've ever seen it spelled out, I think. Good Lord, that's a Barth. Yeah, well, that's horrible. Darth Vader. Except for instead of a little lightsaber there, he just farts a lot. Anyway, thank you for the fart noise. This is what they say. Mr. Biden brings this motion for lack of jurisdiction to challenge as unconstitutional the appointment and subsequent unlawful funding of these cases. Basically, what that says is, you don't know me. Why? What are you doing? How can you charge me? Of course, talking about special counsels. Yeah. And that's why also Jack Smith, that's a whole nother thing. Tish James, by the way, just probably angered a lot of people because she's on the forefront of banning transgender individuals in sports. But we'll talk about that at a later time. All right, let's get to the Secret Service, what they knew, what they didn't know, and how horribly they acted. So apparently, there were not as many resources as there should have been to cover the Trump rally. Why? Because NATO was taking place. So the Secret Service had, quote, little resources to cover the July 13th campaign. Because of that, apparently it opened the doors for this person, crooks, to get on a sloped building and shoot Donald Trump and, of course, kill an individual, which is absolutely horrific. These whistleblowers told the House Judiciary Committee that Secret Service Special Agent in charge Tim Burke revealed the oversight at a July 8th meeting with the FBI. So they knew 5 days before the 13th that, hey, man, we're running pretty thin here. This could be dangerous. The meeting was held to talk over security needs, obviously, for Butler, Pennsylvania, where Donald Trump was speaking. So, House Judiciary Committee Jim Jordan, who that man is, he likes wrestling, and he likes to defend wrestling coaches who wrestle with boys. True story. He says law enforcement overlooked a number of vulnerabilities prior to and during the event, allowing an assassin to shoot a president, murder an attendee, and critically wound 2 others. Obviously, all partisan politics aside, I think we can all agree that's not good. He also added, this tragedy demands a full and transparent investigation, emphasizing that FBI Deputy Director Paul Abate promised a, quote, rapid investigation with maximum transparency. This is according to Secret Service spokesman Anthony Guglielmi. I wonder where we went wrong. Was it hiring Guglielmi? Good Lord, the guy sounds like he should be selling old candy. Guglielmi, hey, you just got Guglielmi'd. Oh, that explains the shit on the bottom of my heel. He says, we cannot comment on matters related to an ongoing investigation at this time. Well, that's kind of convenient.
Yeah.
Because he all fucked up like real bad. Like, no, can't comment. It's going in. We're learning how we fucked up really bad.
It's not our policy to talk right now.
He added, we, of course, are committed to working with the appropriate and relevant investigations of what happened on July 13th, including with Congress, the Inspector General, and both internal and independent reviews. Oh, my goodness. So the Secret Service, what a horrific job of protecting a former president. The Secret Service director, she refuses to step down. Obviously, there's a lot of people who are pretty pissed off because she didn't really do the job she was supposed to do, and you really just have one. Also, I think we don't have to call them the Secret Service anymore. We all kind of know they're there.
Yeah.
So U.S. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle, her office says she ain't going to step down. It doesn't matter what anybody says. House Speaker Mike Johnson said on Thursday that he is ready to call on President Biden to fire Kimberly Cheadle as the director of the U.S. Secret Service. Apparently, Cheadle got her job because Jill Biden really liked her.
Oh, my God.
There's also been a little bit of scapegoating going on regarding, I suppose, is it DEI, one of these things,
yeah,
when it comes to the Secret Service. By 2028, I think it was 2028, they want to have it 30% women.
Yeah, why?
Well, I mean, I don't care. You're just going to do the job.
Yeah, whoever's best. I think if you can choose your own like massage therapist, you can choose male or female. You should be able to choose if you want, the people protecting your life, either be male or female.
Well, I mean, I would always, if that's the case, I want a bunch of big gals. Always. Come on now. Okay, so Trump shooter Thomas Matthew Crooks, he was perceived by the U.S. Secret Service as a person of interest but not yet, quote, a threat. So that's weird. They're just interested in him.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder what he's thinking. Do you think he wants to go out with me? What do you think? Do you think, like,
yes,
maybe?
no, maybe.
Yes, no, maybe? Huh? Maybe we should send him a card and just be like, circle if you want to go see a movie on Saturday.
Yeah.
So he's a person of interest, not yet a threat. I was also speaking, I think it was with you, Kyle. He had to bring a ladder, right? To climb up on that
ladder there, yeah.
So he was walking around with a big ass ladder.
And a car full of bombs.
Right. They're like, oh, look at Mario there from, what's the name of that game? King Kong or whatever the hell that thing was.
Donkey Kong?
Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
So he's walking around with a massive ladder, obviously has a gun, but they didn't think that so he had a rangefinder with him, right? But they were like, oh, who cares? It's a rangefinder. They said they thought he had a golf rangefinder. That's according to Secret Service spokesman, again, Anthony Guglielmi.
You can't take that chance, though.
Well, maybe he was going to go golfing.
Yeah.
And that's
A
the
chip shot.
Indeed. That's the Third Amendment. You have a right to golf whenever you want and bring golf finders wherever you can. The family of the Trump rally shooting victim, Corey Comparteri, they released a statement calling his death unthinkable. And obviously, it could have been avoided had any of these things been taken seriously into consideration. It has now been told, we are finding out that the Secret Service had images of this person on top of this roof for 20 minutes.
What?
So, law enforcement officials investigating the assassination attempt told lawmakers this past Wednesday that 20 minutes passed between the time the U.S. Secret Service snipers first spotted the gunman on a rooftop and the time that shots were fired.
Wow.
That's like a long time.
That's a very long time.
So I'm not sure why they were waiting. Again, next episode, we're going to get into some of the conspiracy thought, and all this stuff feeds into it because they're like, what are they waiting for?
Yeah. The craziest part, too, is that his parents called the police like 4 hours before the rally, said they were very scared about their son doing something bad.
And then you also have the interesting sort of perspective of the politics regarding this family. It seems like they were Trump supporters.
Wow.
Which is interesting because for the longest time, they're like, what's the motive? What's the motive? And initially, you're like, well, he probably didn't like Donald Trump very much. But it very well might be he wanted to get back at his dad for suspending him or for I mean, who the fuck knows? Be like, Barry was really mean to me and he likes Donald Trump, so I'm going to kill Donald Trump. Hey, who knows?
Yeah.
It also, we'll get into this more on the next episode again, but it seems as if he was searching both Biden and Trump. So maybe this
Holy
kid
shit.
just wanted to shoot right to fame
Wow.
and die and become infamous. So the U.S. Secret Service snipers, they saw him right away. Obviously, we know what happens when they reacted. They blew his freaking head off very quickly. At least you need to tell people to get him down from there. Anyway, the whole thing just reeks to high heaven, and the U.S. Secret Service, again, is certainly being held accountable, or hasn't yet, but they need to be held accountable. So the shooting happened at 6:12 p.m., 20 minutes after they saw him at 5:52 p.m. So in the days since the shooting, obviously the Secret Service, they have been under a lot of scrutiny. And this is what they say. A Department of Homeland Security person says she welcomes the opportunity to testify when it comes to Kimberly Sheetal. She does want to testify. She, as a matter of fact, welcomes the opportunity for her prime time spot in front of the House. So, my God almighty. So the revelation of the timeline came as sources for ABC. They say that Crooks, again, searched on his phone images of President Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and he also searched for the dates of the Trump rally, which, of course, took place in Butler. What's interesting about that, it reminds me a little bit of the assassination the assassination attempt on Ronnie Reagan by Hinckley, who is now a musician.
Yeah.
And he did come out and he was like, I don't like that Crooks guy.
Oh, wow.
He did come out and say that. And then, yeah, you can read the whole article. It's hilarious. The quotes are like, I'm against violence. I'm against political violence. And it's like, brother, you technically killed Brady, which gave us the Brady Bill, and obviously attempted to kill, but instead only wounded Ronald Reagan. Of course, at that time, Ronald Reagan wasn't nearly as popular as he turned out to be when he beat Mondale in 1984. And we'll see if history repeats on that front regarding Donald Trump. But the reason I brought that up is because Hinckley just looked in the newspaper for Ronald Reagan's entire schedule. They would just publish the schedule and be like, if you're going to shoot him, this is going to be a great time right here. He's outside a bowling alley at noon in Poughkeepsie. And that seems to be what happens here. Maybe there needs to be a little bit more. I mean, obviously, it's a public event, so how secret can you be? But that seems to be what happened here. So the FBI director, his deputy director, and the head of the Secret Service told lawmakers Crooks was identified as a person of interest a full 62 minutes before the shooting took place. So 5:10, Crooks was identified as a person of interest. 5:30, Crooks was spotted with a rangefinder. 5:52, Crooks was spotted on the roof by Secret Service. 6:02, Trump takes the stage. And 6:12, Crooks fires his first shots. Why did Trump even take the stage?
That's insane.
Why did they have him even remotely close to that stage without being like, at least go knock on the door and just be, how long are you going to be up there? You golfing up there? You're part of the fraternity from Animal House, huh? You just kind of golf at on high altitudes?
Oh, my God.
Insane. So once Crooks fired his first shots, then the gunman was killed 26 seconds later. And again, next episode, we'll get into more on that. But let's just stick with the Secret Service. This is what's so aggravating, is when people just try to deflect blame. So one of the reasons that Cheadle gave for Secret Service not protecting the roof was, quote, because it was sloped. She said, well, we can't put a sniper team on there. It's sloped. But
Clearly you can.
Yeah, clearly you can. This obviously non-athletic, very greasy moron, he was able to get up there.
Yeah.
So I think you can. So she says, again, this is what she said. That building in particular has a sloped roof at its highest point. How are we ever going to figure this out? Then she says, and so there's a safety factor. Yeah, right? And then she said that would be considered there that we wouldn't want to put somebody up on a sloped roof.
The safety factor is people getting up there.
We cannot have a Secret Service that can't handle a slant.
Yeah.
Oh, we never do any inclines here. No, I have a treadmill. It's completely level. I know a mountain? Absolutely not.
Good God.
She then says, and so the decision was made to secure the building from inside. But what? So they're just all in there?
Yeah.
I don't think they were in there at the time of the shooting. I think they walked in. They're like, any assassins in here? And then the guy was like, nah. Okay, then. See you later. I mean, you can't make this up. It's so freaking stupid. So Cheadle admitted the agency knew the building was a security vulnerability.
Yeah.
But still opted not to position agents there whatsoever. Oh, my Lord. It was 130 feet away. And now there's another issue.
130 yards.
I'm sorry. It was 130 yards away.
Yeah, because they were saying 600 is like still a layup. So the fact that it was 130, it's like, what are you doing? It's a tip-in for anybody who actually knows how to shoot.
According to James Gagliano, again, a retired FBI supervisory special agent and Army veteran, he said he didn't get the reasoning. And if Gagliano don't get it, you're real dumb. He said, you just have to work with the terrain you're presented with.
Hello.
And it's just a building.
Yeah.
Anyway. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, as Cheadle will have to testify at some point. And I don't like people losing their jobs. But in this case,
It was a bad job.
it was just really, really bad.
Yeah.
Just so obviously bad. I mean, it wasn't even complex. It wasn't even Naked Gun complex. They didn't even have to convince a baseball player to shoot the queen.
Right. There's one video of a woman that couldn't get her gun back in the holster either. So then she pretended like, oh, it was awful.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
So this is according to GOP congressional candidate Joe Kent, former Army Special Forces officer. This is what they wrote. You can't get on the roof, but you identified the building roof as a threat? So what's the excuse for not securing the perimeter and all access points to the building?
They're more of a threat to themselves up there.
Oh, my God. But I will say, to Cheadle's credit, she says, the buck stops with me.
Yeah.
So the buck is stopping there. She says it was unacceptable, and it's something that shouldn't happen again. So it's just unreal. All right, and just lastly, it's not just the Secret Service to blame for what happened. It's also this dude, and not as much to blame. I mean, I get it. Being a cop, easier said than done. And when you do have someone point a gun at your face, it probably is quite scary.
Ooh, I got to go.
That being said, this man isn't exactly a hero. Butler County Sheriff Michael Sloop has doubled down on his defense of the Butler Township police officer who confronted crooks that Saturday, and he calls online critics assholes. So what happened, long story short, this officer went up to Crooks, or saw him, And at that point, Crooks pointed the gun at him, at which time the officer was like, I gotta go. I got a whole bunch of TV to watch.
This is my cue.
Don't shoot the president, please.
Be careful up there. It's dangerous.
So he also saw this man and wasn't able to do anything. Now, the reasoning why the sheriff is calling him a hero, it's a little loose. It's a little loose, but in the weird world that we have always lived in, it's a sort of a sliding doors situation. Had that man not been there, it's very possible Donald Trump's head would have been in a different position. Yeah, not just his own, not just up his own ass, like usual.
Be on the ground.
He would indeed be dead. So the sheriff says, can you imagine 10 seconds before that? That was when the officer approached and was like, hey, what you doing up here, buddy, with that sniper rifle at a presidential event?
And that golf finder duct taped to it.
Yep, I don't see any balls. So he says, can you imagine 10 seconds before that the president was looking straight ahead and where the bullet could have potentially landed? So he says, well, at the very least, my officer distracted him for 10 seconds, which is just okay.
Yeah.
It's more of a happy accident, I suppose.
Right. I didn't think I was going to like the explanation, but I actually kind of do.
That's what he says. So the local cop, hoisted up by a fellow officer, so they were doing some fun hoist work. Isn't that nice? Was hanging off the edge of the roof when he was spotted by Crooks. At this point, Crooks pointed his AR-style semi-automatic rifle at him. AR stands for Armalite, by the way, for all the people out there who were shouting that. I know. Wow, what a fascinating turn of events. So the sheriff said, right now, the shooter is training on the president. These guys breach the roof, so he turns around and potentially eliminates that threat. He also says, the officer is like, I'm dead or I drop. I drop. He turns back around. The cop ducked his head, lost his grip, and fell 8 feet to the ground. And then at that point, this is according to Sloop, the sheriff, he says, when someone points a gun at you and you can't get to your weapon, you tell them assholes online that they are Superman. So they're Superman. Like, I'll just pull a gun out and then they can shoot at me. I don't give a shit. Yeah. Right. So he's kind of trolling the trolls. Yep. He says, oh, yeah, what would you have done if you were a police officer with a gun that's able to shoot and kill at will? So this is what the top cop continues. He says, now timing is everything. He turns around, and at this point in the speech, obviously, as we all know, the president is looking way back to his right, and he gets hit on the ear. One of the things that people aren't discussing, technically, Joe Biden also saved Trump's life with his immigration policy, because that's what Trump was going to look to. He was looking at a graph about the amount of immigrants coming over the southern border.
Yeah.
So if Joe Biden, if Kamala Harris and Joe locked that thing up, he would have nothing to look at.
That's crazy.
And he'd be dead. So thank you, Joe, for kind of failing.
We did it, Joe.
That's your job. So Sloop then says, if I'm interrupted and I move my gun, you're going to have to reassess that whole situation at this point. So yes, you can make a case that those two officers saved the president's life. And I have a feeling both of those officers, from now on, when they're hammered in Florida at a bar, will be saying, just so you know, I saved President Trump's life. And they'll be like, how? Well, I didn't do my job.
I fell off a ladder.
Yeah, I fell off a ladder. Stop calling me a hero. I don't even embrace the hero thing. I go with, I'm kind of clumsy, But yeah, I guess you could call me a hero. Oh, my Lord. The entire thing is a calamity of morons.
Morans.
Maroons. It's a calamity of dipshittery.
Hey.
There we go. Now we got it. So anyway, that's the perspective from the Secret Service. They saw him. They had 20 minutes to respond. Didn't do shit. And then you had cops who also saw him because a bunch of people in the crowd were like, that guy's got a gun up there. And, so maybe you want to watch out for that. And they didn't do anything. And when they finally did confront him, they just got scared and fell down. And yes, I understand. That's why I'm not a police officer. Because I would be like, oh, buddy, do you need a soda? What are you doing? I'm just here to look and say hello. So next episode, we're going to get into the conspiracy theories regarding Crooks, because all of this was allowed to happen at the very least.
Yeah.
And so it was both, not necessarily on purpose, but it was just a lot of horrible decisions that led to a catastrophe obviously for the family of the father that was killed, and then nationally, the whole nation is just like, what the fuck? But again, you're still allowed to make jokes about it.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way that we can cope. So, Secret Service didn't do their job. The cops didn't do their job. And somebody's going to have to take accountability. I don't care about the whole 30% are supposed to. I don't care.
Yeah.
Get them all. Just do your fucking job.
Right.
It's not that hard. Also, there was a controversy over how slowly they got Donald Trump off the stage.
Yeah.
Then there was another controversy where people were super pissed that Donald Trump got that fucking photo op. Like, damn it.
Damn it, that's the picture of the year.
Oh my goodness gracious! No, I was talking to a buddy, and I was just. It doesn't matter what you believe. I'm just go look totally blindly. You're
Right.
like, it's just a picture that's got the flag, the blood. It's
Yeah.
just America. That's a picture of America.
Exactly.
So anyway, all right. Well, that's this quick episode. Hopefully, you got up to date on what is going on regarding the Secret Service. And again, next episode, it's all about Crooks and what the hell was he potentially thinking. We'll get to it to the best that we know. It really very well could just be something hyper personal. And then, what's the biggest thing you could possibly do to get back at Samantha who said no to you at the prom? I shot the president, right?
Killed the president.
Yeah. I can't believe she said no. Seems like he's like the Napoleon Dynamite of snipers. God. Can't believe that.
Don't vote for Trump, vote for Pedro.
God. Oh, honestly. Right. Please. I wish the vote Pedro, but like not ironically.
Yeah.
Put him in. We'll take him in a fucking heartbeat. All right, everyone. That is this episode. Thank you all so much for listening. Check me out on Ben Kissel 1 on Instagram. Thank you, rate and review. Thank you so much for all the kind words. You guys are fantastic. We're going to keep on trucking. All right, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.